crashed, as usual. And yeah, as I was saying, elaborating on the various literature stuff I've been working on. And so, yeah. So I did write a few short stories in between, but yeah, I was on RG series, in which it's once again in which I've pretty much the point I've gotten to in RG series is that pretty much everything except for the names of 2 of the 3 main characters are different at this point. Right, so oh yeah. I think the reason I phased out the 3rd from the original draft and replaced him with a different 3rd was because the 3rd in the original draft was a tag-along kid, and I kind of don't like that trope. So yeah, it led to me creating my own incredibly in-depth superpower system, which has 3 levels of superpowers, so to speak. Primaries, which are made through, so yeah, the 3 types of superpowers are primaries, which are gained through a contract, secondaries, which require a person to hold a card, a special type of card that gives them that powers, and tertiaries, which are incredibly simple powers that are gained through mastery of a craft. So yeah, generally primaries are the strongest and tertiaries are the weakest. Each person can have only 1 primary and 1 secondary at a time, or each person can only have 1 primary and use 1 secondary at a time. And carrying multiple secondaries is acceptable, but since secondary cards are rare and have to be bought from a certain shops that sell them for high prices, let's just say. So oh yeah, I don't have a name for the shopkeeper, or for which our protagonists got the primaries from. So yeah, they're either passed down from generation to generation, or just sold off to the highest bidder. Or so, yeah, I haven't come up with the name of the most important in person who deals in these, the most important shopkeeper in the series. I've developed a whole ton of characters so far, but yeah, I haven't come up with that person's name, so for now I'll just call them Shet Haiji, because that's a creative name. Ignore the fact that they have an English first name and a Japanese last name, and are living in effectively a fictional counterpart of Japan. And so yeah, there's also artificially created. Yep. So yeah, there's also people who are artificially created to to wield primaries, and these are known as spectrals. And yeah, and most primary people, most people who have primaries or secondaries are typically known as masters. And every year there's a masters conference where, yeah, I actually go really into depth about how people with primaries and secondaries are treated, but not tertiary, since those are fairly minor things. So, yeah, going into depth about how people without powers think about those who do have powers. And the result is that people with powers are kept under intense regulations, and so they're basically kept on government watch for their whole life. If you have a primary, then you're pretty much under house arrest for most of the time, except for when it comes to the primary, when it comes to the Masters Conference, which is basically my excuse to write I wanted to write a really good tournament arc. Now this sounds weird to say, but I think I can do it by focusing less on the fights and more on the characters involved with it. And so, yeah, yep, so, yeah, the protagonists are a group of fairly young masters who basically are put in charge of dealing with a certain uprising caused by a group of spectrals. And yeah, that's how the plot starts. And then it evolves into an international conspiracy and many other things. So, yeah, it evolves into a web of political intrigue and international conspiracy, eventually, and a big adventure. But yeah, so, I've actually been imagining, who do I think would be a good voice for the protagonists? So, I'm thinking for our group of protagonists is oh no, I could be going with the theme of so yeah, just considering yeah, I was thinking that the three primary protagonists be, if it were to somehow get an anime adaptation, which is very unlikely, or if I were to somehow be able to get some form of animated adaptation where I was going to be able to hire these three. So I was thinking, for the group of protagonists, Erica Mendez, Johnny Young Bosch, and not sure on the third one, but I'm thinking Sean Chiplock. Which is fitting since we're playing a game with him in it right here, here he is. Here's the Sean Chiplock man. But yeah. And then you know what, I'm not sure. I've actually named some of the more minor characters after voice actors, so oh yeah, the protagonists are mainly have their last names taken from Japanese seiyus, except for one of them who was inspired by characters played by the seiyu Yuji Ueda, but yeah, I mean, I was considering in which characters have. I don't know too much about the English dub voices for characters is voiced by him. I know one character who I've mentioned from that cult classic anime that I mention a lot, but I know that one character he voiced is voiced by Spike Spencer in English, and I know another is voiced by Eric Vale in English, but I'm going with assuming that it's a California cast, so Eric Vale's kind of out of the question. So yeah, and the character I was designing, it doesn't seem like he'd be a good fit for Spike Spencer. I mean, and you know what, I'm considering actually saving Sean Chiplock for a later character. So yeah, I have no idea who any of them are going to be voiced by. But point is, female protagonist, I'll likely want Erica Mendez to provide that role. Well, I mean, after all, the series is partially inspired by Hunter x Hunter in its current state. Even though I've only just so I'm saying in its current state because who knows, it may be subject to change. And besides, I haven't even gotten too far in Hunter x Hunter. I've just recently finished the York New arc. So yeah. But yeah, let me think. So perhaps if I'm saving Johnny Young Bosch for a later character, because there's a character later on who's named Johnny Cannon, whose name is clearly inspired by Johnny Young Bosch, and his design is also inspired by characters who he voiced, and also his real-life self. So yeah. So let me think. So yeah, I'm thinking for now. Oh, the protagonist would be voiced by Erica Mendez. Let's say for the you know what? Heck, let's go with it. I don't know which one of them, but one of the male protagonists would likely since I'm saving Johnny Young Bosch and Sean Chiplock for later. Or then how about I would say one of them, I don't know which one, and would be voiced by a you know what, how about Billy Kametz? Yeah, that would be a good voice. And then perhaps just thinking Cause I've got a few voice actors in mind for later characters. Yep. I've also... Yep, so funny thing is that... I've heard Sean Chiplock likes voicing psychopaths. So I've written a minor villain, or supposedly, right now he's just a minor villain, but I've written him specifically so that Sean may one day hopefully voice him if I somehow get him on my payroll. But yeah, and then the other male protagonist, let's just go down the list. So, let me think. So, yeah, with that, I believe the only other voice actors I'm saving for later are Kyle McCarley and Keith Silverstein. And so, yeah, I'm thinking. And so, since I've already gotten characters in mind for those four, or that eliminates them from the list. And yep, let me think. Who would be a good voice actor for the protagonist for the male protagonist who isn't voiced by Billy Kametz? Jonah Scott, maybe? I don't know, I'm kind of grasping here. I don't know, it's funny, the one I based on roles by Yuji Ueda looks more like a character that Sean Chiplock would voice. So that's why I was considering him at first, but then it turns out that I've designed another character with Chiplock in mind, so... You know what? I just got an idea. So, yeah, I was originally I designed this minor villain I designed this villain specifically with Chiplock in mind, but I didn't have a good role with him. So now I was thinking, in one of the early Arc villains is actually I actually haven't developed too much personality for. So, how about we combine the two characters into one? Yep, this is just how I think about things. So yeah, and then in the meantime, I've been... Yep, I also... Oh, so funny thing is that... similarly to stands, primaries and secondaries are named after music. Although, in this case, primaries are named after anime openings, and secondaries are named after video game songs. And so, the protagonists' primaries are... Yeah, well, they're named after anime... The primaries are named after anime songs, but usually openings. So, the protagonists' primaries are in order, Over the Top, Burning Rage, and Information High. And they also have... So yeah, and there's another major character who you can think of as a sort of fourth protagonist who has the artificial secondary Mind in a Program. So, yeah, and then the protagonist secondaries would be just thinking about names for them. So yeah, the first protagonist would eventually gain the secondary Cleric Beast. While the second one would... You know what, I actually got confused and accidentally aimed one of the first male protagonist's secondary after an anime theme song instead of a video game song. So, oh yeah, you know what, I just decided impromptu, his secondary is now named Silver Will Golden Wings. And yeah, and then the other male protagonist has the secondary Another Mind. And so yeah, speaking of Another Mind, I've been in the series which I got Another Mind from. So yeah, the names of the powers may not, and where they came from, may not indicate what they're capable of. Over the Top basically summons a giant robot that relies on the master's stamina, and is a real stamina drainer. So for maximum efficiency, at first, until the protagonist gets more stamina, it can only be summoned in parts. So, for example, say just summoning a giant fist instead of the whole body. And then in the secondary Cleric Beast, these secondaries are often much simpler than primaries in nature. But the secondary Cleric Beast basically gives slightly improves the body's healing factor. So, yeah, this comes a long way when dealing with the stamina issues that Over the Top has, so I'm holding off this upgrade until about a third or halfway through the series. Yeah, so Burning Rage does exactly what it sounds like. It's quite possibly the most simple and to-the-point primary in the series. It causes the master who wields it to become exponentially more powerful the angrier they are. When they're in unstoppable rage, their strength is multiplied by 10 times its normal amount. But the thing is that the master who has it was unfortunate enough to... the primary picked a master who unfortunately cannot draw out its true power, and as such is only capable of... Yep, and by not drawing out its true power, I mean being too calm to work the damn thing. And so, yeah, he mainly powers it with his anger at not being able to use it to its full potential. And Silver Will Golden Wings, as I've just called it, is another simple secondary. It allows its master to fly at speeds of Mach 2. And although it doesn't provide all the resilience needed to it provides some extra resilience in order to survive the forces of an exposed human body trying to fly at those speeds, but it doesn't provide all the safety. And as such, usually the speed's restricted beneath its normal limit for the safety of the Master. And then Information High is basically an enemy scan. And so Information High allows its Master to effectively and incredibly and with incredible ease take their time to scan the enemies for weak points, and time is stopped while they're scanning, but it's not like they can move and stop time. And so it's only for analyzing weak points. And so yeah, luckily this one did choose a Master who is capable of using it to its full potential. And lastly, another mind. I'm not going to explain it. It gives its Master the powers that the character who has the theme Another Mind has, albeit in somewhat more limited fashion. And the Master mainly uses it for Death of 1,000 Cuts scenarios. But yeah, lastly enough, Mind in a Program, which is used by the sort of fourth protagonist, is a secondary that can copy other secondaries to an extent. And the more secondaries are copied, the weaker it becomes. So it has to strike a limit it has to strike a balance between over-specializing and being an incredibly basic Master of None. And even then, while it can discard these powers, it can only use each secondary it copies at maximum 70% efficiency, and that efficiency decreases by roughly 6% per. Actually, no, just doing the math of this. It's so. How. Yes. Yeah, its efficiency decreases by roughly 7 to 8%, somewhere in that range, per every secondary copied at the same time. And so, yeah, the user can never use them to their fullest power, and can never copy an ability to its fullest power. And although it can copy abilities indefinitely, until they are discarded by the Master in order to provide extra memory space. But yeah, the only other way it is limited is that the Master can only copy. He also has a limit it on how many abilities can be copied at once. And the limit is 11. Technically speaking, they can copy 12, but upon copying 12, they would be so inefficiently useless that it wouldn't even matter. So, yeah, the limit to how many abilities they can copy while still getting some use out of each of them is 11. And so, there's that. And then I've also been writing fan fictions. And for the same series that... Yep, first of all, I've been writing a lot of fan fictions on the... I've written 2 full fan fictions on the Linen Project series, which is where I got Another Mind from. Also, I need to... I need to check something, but yeah, I wrote 2 fan fictions, and it's based on cult classic fan favorite Ensemble Dark Horse Klaus, and yeah, one of them was a cracky ship fic that I wrote because someone on a Discord or server or said that no one could ship Klaus and Kaoru together, or no one could write a ship fic between the 2 of them because no one would know how it would go. So I wrote a really memey crack fic. I wrote 1,313 words in the process of 3 hours. And yeah, it just became a meme fest and became featured on the Linen Amino. So yeah, a little fan fiction known as Arrows Held Down by Gravity. In which... yeah, and the fan fiction ends with Suzumi coming in and exclaiming, "What the fuck did I just witness?" and then resetting the timeline. I'm not even joking about that. That's literally how the fanfic ends. But with Klaus being Klaus, they remembered the events from the previous timeline. And so, yeah, and then I've also written, so yeah, I'm sorry if this has dragged a bit long, but I just feel like talking for a bit. I mean, I've been doing nothing but talk for the past over half an hour. So yeah, I've also been writing my own Gundam fanfiction of sorts. I say of sorts because, oh yeah, there was another series that I forgot to cover that I developed, that I wrote for. Or so I wrote a Real Robot series called Great Clay Olympus, and yeah, I've basically written a basic plot outline and didn't get too far in it, but I've written up a basic plot outline as well as designed several mechs for that series. So, oh yeah, basically, yep, so one of the silly things is that I've actually accounted it for, or the realism in some of the designs. I based many of the mech names in the series on Greek mythology. So, oh yeah, so we've got, for The battleship the characters are the land battleship the characters are stationed on, because the series hasn't gone to space, is known as the Argo, and their top units are called the Argonauts, with pretty much the prototype to all mechs in the series is being in the Myrmidon Mark 1. And so the Myrmidon 1 was a very flawed prototype. So, yeah, it took until, well, for context, the Myrmidon line was pretty much discarded at one point, and by the time the series starts, and have pretty much become civilian owned. So, yeah, the Myrmidon 1 was an incredibly flawed prototype. So, basically, its flaws were, first of all, it had very weak armor, and second of all, while it did have more powerful weaponry than its successor, the Myrmidon 2, it had a problem in that it was incredibly off balance, to the point where with all of its weaponry, with a lot of fixed weaponry stuck on its right side, it had trouble standing up straight, and as such, couldn't actually lift its powerful cannon and weapon, and resulting in the Myrmidon 2 heavily scaling down on the weapons and making them much less fixed. And even by the point of the series start, the Myrmidon 2 has been partially I say, pretty much mostly outclassed and outdated. And so, yeah, the Myrmidon 2 would be pretty much your it had a lot of things. It was cost effective and fixed pretty much all of the Myrmidon 1's mistakes. But then more technology just kept coming in, so as more advanced mechs were developed, the Myrmidon 2 was eventually retooled into a civilian mech, where basically all the higher-ups, all the higher-class people, could buy one of them to use as opposed to a car. And even then the armor on most mechs isn't really the strongest thing in the world. Well, I mean, it's strong, but only when compared to other such things. I mean, it's certainly stronger than a tank with legs. Most of them are certainly stronger than a tank with legs, so yeah. For comparison, it'd take about so yeah, also, the fact is that at one of the mechs I designed for the series, so yeah, first of all, relatively early in the series, the protagonists are or at least the draft that I developed, the protagonists have been selected as the crew of the Argo, which is effectively meant to test out various prototype units. And so, yeah, first of all, the group starts out with a set of five Argonauts, which are basically the Ace Custom units. Yeah, and then later, as the war progresses, each member gets upgraded to their own unit that's designed to test out different things. And so, yeah, I've actually, for example, the titular Olympus is designed to test out a new form of heavy anti-beam weaponry armor. Or so. Yeah, and it's also the Olympus. The reason that it's so powerful is that it's much larger than. So the Olympus is basically made to try to test everything at once, and at the point that it was developed, it's a straight-up lightning bruiser compared to everything else. Also, oh yeah, the Olympus has an absolute ton of thrusters on its design. I remember designing, I believe over 50 It has over 50 thrusters on it. Because it's so heavy that it needs all those thrusters just to move. But the thing is that the design actually went overboard on the thrusters. And while it does need some thrusters, a lot of thrusters just to move, it has a total of over... Yep, I said over 50, but I actually believe it was over 70 thrusters all over its body to give it an amount of mobility not seen by anything else in the war yet so far. And also having, in addition to having its special anti-beam armor, meaning that effectively the only thing that's able to scratch it is very strong beam weaponry and more conventional armor. So, yeah, but of course it does eventually get to the point where it starts to not be as starts to not outclass everything as much. And of the other test units, the favorite mech I designed for this series is the Zephyr, due to effectively, basically it's very much based on the Rigazi from Mobile Suit Gundam Char's counterattack, in that both have very similar systems for transforming. So, yeah, the Zephyr was designed to be a transforming mech, and is of fairly small height. So, yeah, basically how it works is that it has its joints designed in such a way that allows it to contract into remote-controlled plating, and that allows it to enter a plane mode. Now, this plating is very similar to the Rigazi's back weapon system, except the main difference is that this plating is remote-controlled, the fact is that it can be recovered much easily. And also the tip of it is sharp. The tip of the docking plating is sharp enough to be used as a spear, as shown when the pilot it uses it to pretty much perform. Yep. So, oh yeah, the tip of the docking plate is sharp enough to be used as a weapon, effectively making it a more practical version of say the Zeta Gundam's Wave Rider Crash. You know that move where Camille basically goes in and basically crashes the Zeta Gundam into his opponent in the Wave Rider form. Yeah, it actually has a way of making that efficient, in addition to having very sharp wings. And so, yeah, but in exchange, with the docking plate equipped, it has relatively limited weaponry. Not to mention that once the docking plate is unequipped, the mech will effectively fall to the ground, and meaning that it is very unsafe to that getting the thing damaged is very unsafe in the middle of a battle. Well, it better hope that it's close to the ground, because the Zephyr does not have very good armor. Not to mention that due to a design flaw, it has to take off its legs every time it wants to transform into the docking plate mode. Every time it needs to use the docking plate, because of the way its joints work, it can't actually. Its legs actually don't fit in, so it needs to disconnect the legs before or entering a mode. Oh yeah, that's typically precarious, and now, eventually it, along with the other 4 mechs used by the protagonists, gets upgraded to the... Yep, so the Zephyr eventually gets upgraded to the Zephyr 2, which fixes most of the Zephyr 1's problems while adding in its own. And while the Zephyr 1, another problem with the Zephyr 1, as I mentioned, its weaponry is heavily restricted when using the docking plate. It's basically just restricted to just its Vulcans and missile launchers. So no cool beam weaponry. So the Zephyr 2 fixes some of its biggest problems while adding in one of its own. And yeah, the Zephyr 2, while it can use beam weaponry it can use beam weaponry in docking mode, and it no longer has to wait for the docking plate to come out to be controlled. The Zephyr 2 is designed in such a way that it is a true combining mecha. So, yeah, but in exchange, this does cause... It still needs to ditch its legs to transform into its plane mode, but in exchange, it can no longer use the docking plate as a spear, due to it being built into the body. But if the docking plate is destroyed, which is unlikely considering that it is built directly into the mech, it can still untransform safely since it has extra boosters that allow it to fly even without being in plane mode. However, it does introduce a rather big problem of its own, and that's the problem of fuel supply. So basically, if it ever runs out of fuel in the air, actually this is a problem with the Zephyr 1 too, but basically if it runs out of fuel in the air, it has no way of landing safely. Since it ditches the legs to transform, and even untransformed, the Zephyr 2 will have this problem all the time. So yeah, if it ever runs out of fuel in a high altitude battle, the pilot's pretty dead. There aren't any pirates in the series so far, as I'm aware. So this is how the story goes. We find out. But yeah, I've also been working on because I wanted to do some more stuff with mechs, I've also been working on a sort of Gundam fanfiction, which I say sort of Gundam fanfiction because in the style of a good amount of the series is I have made my own sort of Gundam AU, which has its own original characters, original ideas, and original problems. So yeah, it's still very Real Robot, not to the level of Real Robot that IBO was, but pretty close to there. I mean, in the main difference between say, and so yeah, I've been working on it a bit in my free time. Haven't come up with a name for the timeline since every universe has its own individual alternate calendar, except for Gundam 00, which just sticks with Anno Domini. But yeah, I mean the original series and its derivatives have Universal Century. G Gundam has Future Century. Gundam Wing has After Colony, After War has, well, After War. Turn A has Correct Century, Gundam Seed has Cosmic Era, Gundam Age, I don't want to remember that series. But yeah, I believe it had Advanced Generation, or whatever the hell AG stands for. Yeah, and IBO had Post-Disaster. So I haven't come up with a name for the timeline yet, but yeah, it borrows some ideas from other timelines. Basically, so basically having incredibly simplified basically so basically new types in this. So I've deemed this fanfic AU Mobile Suit Platinum Gundam. So in this timeline, new types and cyber new types exist, but they're quite a bit different. And as new types are not the people who were adapted to space, but rather people who have naturally evolved through people who have gone through a natural evolution to have increased awareness, and doesn't have the ridiculous, and they don't have the ridiculous new type powers, that say the ones in Universal Century or After War timelines have. It's more just that they are pretty much massive multitaskers. And the Gundam and the titular Platinum Gundam doesn't actually get... I haven't actually decided when the Platinum Gundam is going to actually show up in the series, but the protagonist starts out with the Gilded Gundam, which is a relatively incomplete jack-of-all-trades mobile suit. So... Oh yeah, and by relatively incomplete, I mean in that it has most of its... Yep, its weapon systems are mostly done, but it doesn't have anything too powerful. Oh, it's got... Well, pretty much everything on it says good enough. And it certainly outclasses the mass-produced Saids. It's... So yeah. And... Oh, I've got a foot cramp. But... Yeah, I've designed a total of 5 mobile suits for the series so far. All of them for the Allied forces, so... Yeah, pretty much the GM equivalent is the Said, which, unusually for the series, is a red mook suit, wielded by the protagonist faction. And so... Yeah, and then the Said has two variants that I've designed, and one of them is the so-called Said Custom, which was designed and with the pilot Scott Grayman. Actually, I've been considering what his name's going to be. So, yeah, for right now, I think his name will be Scott Grayman. But yeah, he's sort of like the Lancer of the group. And he starts out with his own Said Custom, which mainly takes parts off, which is due to the fact that he salvaged various parts from enemy mobile suits and added them onto his Said. In addition to repainting it in his own custom colors, which have a more which are deeper red than the normal Said units. And then eventually he gets it upgraded after he is discovered to have been a new type. He gets it upgraded into effectively it's upgraded even further into, yeah, so basically due to him being a new type, Gundams are pretty much given to exclusively to new type pilots. And so, yeah, since Ace Pilot and the Lancer of sorts, Scott Gray, is a new type, but he didn't initially have his own Gundam. He was eventually, since he's on sort of a small front on the war. But yeah, he was eventually given a Gundam of his own, the Crimson Gundam, which is more or less a SAID upgraded to the point where only new types can handle it. So oh yeah, that's one of those are 4 of the 5 mobile suits that I have designed. The last one being the Platinum Gundam, which I'll keep as a surprise until I actually get to writing the fanfic and actually get to... I don't know when it's going to be introduced. Might be introduced in chapter 16, might be chapter 38. Might not get that far. But yeah, I think I've talked on enough. I've talked on for over an hour. Let's talk to Instructor Sarah. Colleagues over in Crossbells. Huh. A bracer friend over in Crossbell, huh? Huh. Yep, Reen doesn't drink. Oh dear. Yeah. Junmai Shu, huh? Yeah, I know, Sarah, you like older men. Whew. Information, huh? Oh yeah, I was wondering if you were actually talking about the Sword Saint of Wind, and since you said you had a bracer friend in Crossbell, I wonder if he's the one. Although I'm sad to say he's been involved in a conspiracy recently. I mean, that's probably happened in some time, around some time. Oh, whoops. Oh, that's neat to know that. But yeah. The Northern Jaegers, they attacked here. But yeah, no long-term damage. Good news for all. Sheesh. I have to wonder, how is that McBurn man so powerful? Sounds ridiculous that I'm saying his name seriously in a situation like this. But yeah, I should be able to handle it on my own. Huh. Well, there we go. Yep. Let's go back. And link level 3. And we could go for another or drink out together. Okay, sure. One-on-one training, huh? Oh dear. Yeah. Speaking of which, I just need to double check your stats. You're level 75 or something, right? Well, I'll just need to give him a harder time. Super fast! And now, that's how it's handled. Yeah. Sheesh. So you stopped holding back, huh? Yep. Train enough, we'll be able to do it. We can achieve great things, Reen. So let's achieve great things together. Sheesh. The old you, huh? Well, I mean, considering you're associated with a certain Crossbell Bracer, who... Wait, no, it wouldn't make sense for said Bracer to be Ario, since he was in Crossbell 3 years ago. Oh, so... And the fact that his daughter has been held in the hospital for quite a while. Yeah, he's been in Crossbell at least since he was involved in the conspiracy that killed Guy. So yeah, also, apologies for this, but this is the 7th game in the Trail series, so expect me to spoil the previous 6, since it's all one long plot. But yeah, I do wonder if we're ever going to see the guy again. And cause I mean, he did have, to be fair, he did have massive guilt over being in part of the conspiracy that killed his good friend. Also apparently there's a meme about the series director hating fat people because as the guy who was revealed to have killed Guy Bannings is a large overweight lawyer man. Anyway, let's help Eustace. Oh, the horse. Got it. Let's go see Arthur. Yeah, this is a fine horse. Yeah, he's been there for about a decade. Dire need of exercise, huh? Yeah, I mean, in just looking at the horse, just looking at the model, I will say that it does look to be a horse in need of exercise. Yeah. I mean, I used to go out riding a horse by the name of Star Sapphire a lot. No relation to the DC villain or the Toho character. So that's just another story from me. Yeah. Yep, just gotta keep moving forward, don't you ever stop. Any burden. Yep. We're all classmates here. Also, I do wonder, since this game's been split up into acts, I know Japanese plays are typically in a 5-act structure. So, yeah, I do wonder if this game is going to have 5 acts as well, to match that. Judging from the achievement list, it looks like there's going to be 6 acts. However, I'm just curious if that last hidden achievement is something else. Yep, but yeah, let's hang out with Eustace again. And have some tea. Hey, Alf. Not busy getting captured this time around. Yeah. Haha. These kids. Okay. Looks like Eustace is better with kids than we thought. Haha. So yeah, I also haven't mentioned this, but I've also been working on another, or when I mentioned talking about my Lennon Project fanfictions, I didn't mention an Mecha AU that I've been working on. Huh. Well then. Yeah. Well, I mean, being raised on the indoors will do that to you, man. Yeah, I mean, you know, you were taken I mean, you weren't taken hostage, but you were placed under house arrest before. Indeed, man. Alright, now we've got Reen's link level with Elisa really high. Oh! I didn't know you had auto tellus. And cheer only heals 10% HP now. And cover reduces damage by a half. Auto tier only does 20% and 25%. Ha! Anger, huh? Didn't know you had this before. Auto charge. Sometimes I saw this before. Sometimes restores 100 of the partner's EP after using arts. Activation chance increases with link level. And Auto Curia, which also heals 10% HP. Sometimes increases power of partner's offensive arts by 1.2 times. So it's neat, they all have their own unique skills now. I mean, mostly unique. They have far more unique skill sets this time around. So So yeah, also just need to check. Since now Sarah's in the party, she's level 77. She's quite powerful. I think I'll take her with me for the next mission. First of all, let's go to Plover's. Alright, not selling any new Master Quartz. I take it they won't be until the next chapter. Already exchanged all my stuff. And Eustace, you come with all your slots already upgraded, so... Yeah, I think it's important to get... prioritize our casters. When it comes to upgrading to level 2. Okay, upgrade all the non-restricted slots. And now for one of Reen's slots. Alright, so I'll need to make sure to bring one of them with me. Yeah, on some missions. Whatever comes, whatever goes. Let's go home, huh? Yep, let's just rest before the meeting starts. Yeah. Okay, 3,000 Mira for completing the quest. And... yeah, we got... for reuniting with Legram class... reunited with... so we got extra for winning the race against Eustace and defeating Duvally. Hey.
Oh, you went up a rank. Here's a little something from the guild.
Dragon Vein. Yeah! And Braveheart.
Nice work. You did all right, I guess.
Okay. So, we are now at the council.
I've thought long and hard about it, and I think we as a class need to find a third way.
Indeed, let's take our third option.
Separate from the ones the reformist and noble factions are taking.
A third way, you said? I do agree. It wouldn't feel quite right for us to directly support either side.
Yeah.
True. We might be military academy students, but we're still students.
Yeah.
Involving ourselves in a civil war isn't something we should take lightly. We might have a divine knight on our side, but we're still going to need to be very careful how we proceed.
Whatever we do, Valimar will certainly be at the center.
Indeed, it
No
will.
doubt. We've all seen how powerful the Divine Knights are. If we use them right, we can intervene in the war as much as we want.
They're quite literally beings of legend.
Beings of legend,
However,
you can say that.
his potential influence on the war is all the more reason why he will need to be used cautiously.
Yep.
What are we gonna do then? Even if we agree on not siding with either of the factions, I'm pretty sure each of us have different stuff we want to do. And different things that we have to do too.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a surprisingly mature thing for you to say,
For my
Milliam.
part, I need to rescue Elise and Princess Alphen from the Noble Alliance's clutches. Whether it's alone or with you guys, it's something I'll do.
There's no way you'll be alone for that. We're with you all the way.
I'm glad to hear
I'm
that.
concerned about Dad too, what with them having him under arrest.
I still can't get in contact with Fiona either. I'm glad I was able to see Dad, but I'm worried about her.
For me, I'm worried about Ruhr as a whole. It's a huge relief to see you're all right, Sharon, but Mother's still unaccounted for.
I'm sorry I can't do more to comfort you, my lady.
And I have no idea where Father's been for the past month.
Yeah.
I'm certain he must be well, but all the same.
We're all worried about our families, I see. Hopefully, we can find some information on all of them before the fighting gets any more fierce.
I'm certainly not worried about the safety of mine. Although, suffice it to say, if we choose to intervene in the war, conflict with them is all but inevitable.
Huh.
That goes for Zeno and Leo too. They've been hired by the Noble Alliance, so I'd say it's likely we'll run into them in the future. Plus,
Yeah, maybe we can
Emma
actually
and
defeat
I
them
still
next.
need to talk to Vita
Dang.
to see what exactly she's trying to do. To figure out what's so important to her that she was willing to break a taboo to do it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Whatever you decide to do, you'll have my full support. Just as the
Understood.
warriors of Nord did 250 years ago, I'm determined to fight to protect my second homeland and those who live within it.
Oh, same! We can do this! I can back him up, right, Claire?
How could I say no? I have my own duties to take care of as part of the Railway Military Police.
That's
but
understandable.
I fully intend to support all of you with everything I have.
I'm thinking it's about time I return to helping the guild, actually.
Oh dear.
But I'll still be in touch with Sarah, so I'm sure I can lend a hand or two anytime you need it.
Okay.
Naturally, I'd be overjoyed to continue serving as your dormitory's caretaker.
I'm your instructor, so you're stuck with me to the very end. Whatever you choose to do, you'll have my support.
I bit my tongue.
You're going to need to decide on a more specific course of action, though. Resolving to find a third way is a start, but only a start. It also leaves plenty of questions that need to be answered on top of it all.
Like the first game.
Well, then how about this? Let's
Plenty of
figure out
questions
right
that need
now
to be
whether or
answered.
not we want to keep using Ymir as our base of operations.
Just so we're clear on this, there's a limit to how many people can use the spirit path at any one time. And with as many people as we have now, I'm not sure how useful it's going to be at this point.
And we're limited on how frequently we can use it.
Oh, right.
But we're also just as limited on where we can go otherwise. We haven't exactly been the most subtle group around. Who's to say we could even operate elsewhere?
An astute point. The Noble Alliance will no doubt be even more wary of us than before.
Yeah.
In the end, no matter what we decide, we lose.
Indeed.
So you say.
Yet we're short on time, so a decision must be made now.
There's gotta be something that only we can do.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I know it exists. And I'm sure that we'll find it.
Yeah.
The best thing we can do now is keep talking things out until we find a way. There's no point in rushing into a decision.
Well, doesn't this look fun?
Ah, you're listening in on us.
Mind if I join in?
What in the world? It couldn't be.
Vita?
Still not bothering to show up in person, huh?
It's lovely to see you again, Emma. You were finally able to reunite with all of your classmates. I'm happy for you. Really, I am. The goddess was on your side after all,
Cut the crap,
Yeah,
Vita.
clearly not on yours.
Have you been listening in all this time?
Where are you? I'm not far at all. Listen closely now.
She's just going to come in through the window.
That sounds just like... Is that...
It's coming from above us!
Isn't that the Noble Alliance Force's flagship?
What's the Pantagruel doing here?
Damn it!
You have to
I didn't
wonder.
think she'd tell the rest of their army where we were.
But why
Well.
now?
Why? Because our preparations are finally complete.
What? I mean, you still have the Oriole, so...
Vita!
You finally
Vita,
decide to show yourself in
you're
person.
here. Yes,
Huh?
I am here, in the flesh. Good day to you all, Class 7.
Good day to you, too.
As nice as it would be to finally give you a hug, Emma, I wouldn't want to keep our guest of honor waiting any longer. So, without further ado...
Huh. Well, shoot.
Isn't that...
The Azure Knight. Crow.
Well, I've improved a bit.
Long time no see, guys.
Yeah,
Sorry for
long time
dropping
no
in on
talk,
you like
man.
this, but I'm sure you know the drill by now. You ready to have some fun?
Is that really you, Crow?
There's no doubt about it.
See. You damn terrorist.
Come on!
Right!
Heed my call! Valimar! Don't bother calling it the Azure Knight. Acknowledged. Well, looks like nobody's outside. But then again, why would you want to be outside, like in a place like this?
Time.
Are you sure about
Because at
that?
the end of the day, he's just an obstacle that needs to be overcome.
So lend me your power, Valimar!
Very well. Use my power as you see fit.
You've really taken to piloting since your last encounter, haven't you? I was
Indeed.
hoping you would, and you didn't let me down. You boys have so much potential. But potential is only that. Potential. And you, Reen, might want to reevaluate just how many obstacles need overcoming.
Shoot. They've got McBurn
This is
and
bad.
everyone else.
Aren't those the Alliance's allies?
Long time no see, kiddos. You doing all right, Fee?
I see the purple lightning has
Xeno,
Indeed.
Leo.
Zephyr!
And a few members of Ouroboros, too. Guess all the big guys wanted a piece of us today.
And look,
Well-
Sandy's here too.
Kindly stop referring to Clown Soleus with that bizarre nickname.
Ha ha!
it's such a pleasure to visit this wintry wonderland once again.
Please leave.
Oh, it's a pleasure, all
Actually, if I want anyone to leave, it's McBurn.
Revenge has finally come.
I can handle
now
Duvally.
You shall pay.
It's only been 2 days since you first fought them, you know.
Yeah, if we all fought together, I'm sure we could handle Zeno and Leo. I'm sure we could handle Blue Blanc and Duvally. The one I'm concerned about is McBurn.
Why send so many powerful allies here? And all at once?
You've proven to be rather formidable adversaries after all. It wouldn't do to underestimate you.
Huh. And now... Rufus.
Rufus!
I'm pleased to see you all again, ladies and gentlemen of Class 7. As for you, dear
Pleased
brother,
to see you again,
I was told
too.
that you'd run away from home. Does my heart good to see you safe and sound. So,
What, are you an enforcer too?
Finally gathered up the will to make the difficult choices life set at your feet, I presume. Even if those choices place you in my line of fire.
Yes, I have.
I can't believe he's shown up too.
The Noble Alliance is pulling out all the stops to finally get rid of us, aren't they?
Reen, we'll take care of everything here. You and Valimar have your own battle to fight.
Very well then. Yeah,
for a real
I mean...
brawl out here, but a guy couldn't ask for better
I mean, I'm not
opponents.
sure. I'm just thinking. I had a dream where I was facing a small blue-haired man in a giant robot. So,
Leave the battle on the ground to us.
are you sure you can handle McBurn?
We've no intention of backing down without a fight.
Let's just hope that McBurn's too lazy to really do anything.
Wait, Sharon! I know they're all strong, but still.
Either that or we gang up on him and beat him before he has the time to go all out.
Here it comes!
Huh, that's a cool shot.
I'm impressed. You managed to hold your own better than I expected you to. It's only been a month or so, but you've really grown as an Awakener, Reen.
Well, it's hard to go
That
through the
I
kinds
have.
of things I have without growing from the experience. And now that I've done all that, I'm going to be the one who takes you down.
No, you're not. I said you could hold your own, not that you could win. Remember, there's still a 3-year gap's worth of experience between us.
So you say.
And it's time you realize just how much of an impact that gap has.
Well...
That's enough, Crow!
Sharon and Claire facing off against McBurn and another enforcer, and the leader of the Stall Ritter as well.
Well, they're putting up a good fight so far, but...
Yeah, it's not looking good. They're outnumbered, for one thing.
Then it's time we lent them our aid.
Agreed. Weapons at the ready, guys.
Always in a rush, aren't you? Stay right where you are. I'll serve as your opponent today.
You
Very
will?
well then.
Trying to stop us from joining in?
I'd rather our intrusion cause as little inconvenience as possible for the people of this village.
So you say.
I'll let you make the first move. It's been quite some time since I last instructed you in fencing, Eustace. I look forward to seeing how you've improved.
Okay.
His guard's perfect.
Stay alert. Rufus is a master of court fencing. We'll need to put all we have into this battle to even stand a chance against him.
I would have it
Well-
no other way.
Okay, Eustace is locked into the battle. Also, Fee, Elliot. Laura. Machias and Emma. I was
Show me
not
what you're
at all
capable of.
prepared for this.
My turn.
So,
Behold the might of the Archsage School! Radiant Waltz!
Soul Slicer. That doesn't sound good.
My turn.
Sheesh. Noble command time.
Now's our chance. Don't let it pass.
Leave it to me. Right.
Yep, he has over 130,000 HP. Alright, just making sure.
Arcus activate.
Here we go.
Here I go.
Here I go.
Filthy dance. What's that?
Right.
That may have been a bit overkill, but whatever. Let's go for it again.
Now.
Alright, let's burst!
I'll handle
Leave
this.
this to me!
Oh, like.
Take this.
My
Well,
turn. Now's our chance.
let's buff up even more.
Leave this to me!
I'll handle it.
Right.
Alright, I'll wanna make sure to always stay safe. So let's use Holy Song.
Listen to my song of healing.
Sing it out.
Whoa, no, no, whoa, no, 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 no. And he likely has an S-craft as well. So that's going to be dangerous when he uses it. Oh geez, he got the whole lot of us here.
I'll handle it.
I'll handle this.
Onward! Now's our chance!
I'll set you up.
Okay.
Oh darn. That buff wore off at just the wrong time. Probably should have reapplied it.
I'll handle it.
Good job, V!
Should have been paying attention.
Right. Sorry, can you handle this?
I'll take it from here.
Yep, serene blessing.
Move.
Heal, Emma.
My turn.
All right, Eustace. Let's rapid thrust. Impede him. You missed! Oh, darn. Oh, darn! That is a bad spell to have cast upon us.
Too slow.
Is what I'd say if it didn't miss me.
Everyone.
But now, he's just taking his turn a few times.
Should've been paying attention.
And that's it. I probably could have won that, but...
Well, I won't deny that was an entertaining diversion. But you do well to intensify your training regimen if you hope to best me.
You know, that affable air is why I like you, man.
How is he so strong?
We may be on opposing sides.
And a chance.
He might even be stronger than Sarah.
You don't say, Fee! He didn't even use his...
Hey, you really think you've got time to be worrying about them? You ain't getting out of this one, Reen.
All right, bring it on! It's time to settle this, Crow!
Yeah. It's time to pay back your loan.
Bring it on!
This'll be a tough one. Be careful.
So... yeah, this is probably the position where we must aim for
You're wasting your time!
Think you can handle this?
Yeah, this is the position where I'm aiming for the head.
Gotcha!
Also, he's taking very little damage.
Hope you're ready!
This is bad.
Yep, and now body blow time.
You're wasting your time!
No.
Darkness! Clean!
Huh.
Hang in
This just hasn't been my day.
Settled enough for you?
Whew.
You didn't even bother to use that trump card of yours.
Yeah, Reen may have been getting stronger, but...
Then was he?
If that's so...
Come on. With the way you are now, I don't even need to try. I'll always win.
Alright, very well then,
And
I'll
that, Reen,
force you to
perfectly
try
illustrates
next
just how
time.
massive the gulf between us is. Maybe you think you've had it tough up till now, but you're gonna need to go through a hell of a lot more if you want to even the odds.
Maybe we can unlock the Valmar's own super mode exchange.
I see the battle here has come to
Great.
an end.
Hey, Via.
I can't help but feel a little bummed that everything went exactly as I thought it would. Still, it just goes to show how much faith I have in your skills, my sweet Azure Chevalier.
Funny, I don't recall ever becoming yours. How's everything up top?
I think it's only a matter of time before the battle is
Crow is
decided.
just so uninterested.
But we've caused enough trouble for the people of Ymir already. It's about time we brought this to a close.
Don't destroy the city! Fuck!
Finestrum Phantasma window.
Huh. That doesn't sound good.
My apologies for not coming down to speak with you in person, ladies and gentlemen of Thor's Military Academy. You know who I am, of course.
So that's all
but
you're doing.
I am Duke Cayenne, ruler of the Lemaire province and supreme leader of the Noble Alliance.
Duke Cayenne?
So even the big guy himself is here.
I must say, what a curious group we have here. I heard as much, but allow me to extend my most heartfelt congratulations. My expectations have thoroughly been exceeded. When I saw young Eustace and Laura in Legram earlier this year, I could never have imagined this is how we would next meet. Oh, I'm sure your parents must have warned you against wandering off with such disreputable individuals on a number of occasions. But I suppose every child thinks that they alone know what is best for themselves. Duke Albarea was simply livid about what happened. But it can't hurt to learn more about the outside world,
Yeah.
Every word that leaves his mouth is condescending.
Yeah, he puts up an air of affability, but unlike Rufus, you can tell that it's
Did
fake.
you come all the way here just to tell us that?
Don't be silly, child. Reen Schwarzer. I had this meeting arranged because I wanted to speak with you. Perhaps the method was a touch too garish for something so simple, but do forgive me for not formally requesting an audience.
With me?
With you. Allow me to get right to the point. I wish to invite you, Ashen Chevalier, aboard our flagship.
Wait, why?
I've heard all about your magnificent exploits across the land, and so I thought it would be nice to sit down and have a long, pleasant chat with you about the past, the present, as well as your future.
Are you suggesting... You want Reen to join the Noble Alliance?
Should you accept my invitation, we will withdraw peacefully from Ymir. Furthermore, I give you my personal assurance that we will leave this village alone for the duration of this war. A fine proposition, is it not? Are we interested?
Very well. Allow me to accept your invitation.
Just aboard the airship, though.
Don't be an idiot! This is clearly a trap! They wouldn't come all the way out here and take you into their flagship if it weren't.
Yeah, but what? McBurn is here. That's the real thing we should be worried about now.
I appreciate your concern. But trap or not, this might be a good chance for us, too. I think I'd regret it if I let it pass. Valimar, transport Celine back outside.
Are you certain?
Now hold it right there!
Don't worry about me. The odds were against all of us getting back together, but we did it. And I'm sure we can do it again, too. So just wait with Emma for now. I'll be back before you know it. Valimar, if you would.
Very well.
But wait!
Oh dear. Alone again.
It seems the time has come for us to part ways once again. But remember this. You're an Albarea. There is power and dignity in that name, to whatever end you would use it. I want you to prove that the convictions you cling to are worthy of your loyalty. Not for my benefit, but for yours.
Wait!
Lord Rufus!
Well met, Lord Schwarzer. It's a pleasure to see you again. Allow me to extend my apologies for the harm my father visited upon this town and its people.
Never mind that. What do you intend to do with my son? And what is a promising young man like yourself?
We're simply going to borrow young Reen for a short while. There's nothing to worry about. I'm a busy man these days, though, so for now, I bid you adieu.
Yeah, nothing about him says faux affably evil. He's definitely affable to the end.
Reen! Reen!
They all finally got back together, too. Why?
Sorry, but I'll be back, I promise. So stay safe.
Reen!
Reen!
Yep, I'll be back, guys. Yep, that's Act 1 over. Everyone's bonds are growing very much stronger. Reen's gained a lot of bonds. Yahoo! So I think this will be a good place to end off the stream, since this is the end of Act 1. Might as well end it off on my own volition. So yeah, I'll save my game, and then I'll be seeing you guys probably tomorrow. I'll be a bit busy tomorrow, but I'll try to make room in my schedule to record. Until then, see ya.